So last week, I've already given a lecture on how to conduct legal research. So today is the implementation one, the hands-on activity. So I'll pose the question, which is based on real story. So I want to see how you conduct your legal research to advise the client here. So everyone need to use your either laptop or your mobile phone, because today I'm just facilitating and then see how you conduct legal research. You need to come up with the advice. So you guys ready for the question? Okay, I'm ready. So this is an extract of an email. You look at the date, what time the email was sent, and you look at the due date. When are you required to submit the advice? So you can take a picture of the question because you need to do research on this area of law. No, the facts, not this email. I can't extract email. It's confidential. Yeah. So you receive email, something like this in real life. So when you're about to go back home, you receive an email, and then you realize the due date is tomorrow morning. So which means you have no sleep, you need to do research, and then prepare an opinion letter. So that's how real life works. Nope, there's no such thing. You're lucky this email I drafted 10 a.m. Some situation says that the senior partner will want it at 6 a.m. because then he wants to review and then prepare his own letter at 7 a.m. So which means no sleep at all. So for you guys, I'm giving you a little bit of chance. 10 a.m. So you are given 10 minutes to read through what area of law it concerns, which act will be applicable, what does he want at the end of the day. Time starts now. You guys can discuss. You can discuss among yourselves. You can discuss with the people who sit next to you, in front of you, left, right, back, center, all of that. So I want to see how you think. I'll go around and then see what you have on your dashboard. On your computer.
Since we have until 10 a.m. Actually, 10 minutes back is 10
This is not patient. Why is it 7 above the 10?
What do you have there? Okay, still there?
they put in electronic device.
No, it's neither affecting production construction. Section 5.
Then we might have to say section 5. This is published for the return. So this is not a there's a duration. This was but the case was brought up in defamation has to be independent standard. So same way, but just say this topic, libel is written. So this is written. Is there a word in libel between? So Defamation Act doesn't have a word libel, so I think so standard is like the same thing here. So we didn't have. We can use this case. We can use this case. Consultation. It's to make people peace. To create peace.
Action is same. Why? Published for Africa. I don't have to go to court to put
Okay, so can you tell me so how far your research has gone through? So where are you at now? Kaylin, where's Kaylin? Yep, so what's on your screen? What are you looking at now? So you're looking at Defamation Act. All right, so before you go through Defamation Act, can you tell me what are the keywords that you managed to capture from the email itself?
Untrue stories. Tak Kinabalu.
Severely affected. Which one is it?
Reputasi.
Reputation.
2 years. Research. Research. Yeah. Website. Partner. Wenya. Research. What's that? Business partner? Oh. 2 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
Deadline. Research.
I can't see. I can't see.
Yeah,
I can't read.
I can't.
It's written. It's written. It's written.
Yeah, it's yeah, publishing untrue stories means written.
Like
Yeah,
written.
it's publishing. It's published,
So
so
it's
it's
written,
written.
not spoken.
Yeah, the point is it is written.
Not spoken.
Yeah, it's not spoken.
What area of law that comes to your mind? How sure are you tort and not contract? Is it tort and contract? Is it constitutional and administrative law? How sure are you? Really sure? How about human rights? Definitely not. Where's Adila? Yep. So which area of law? Why is it tort? Yep. If you mention has a duty, that's company law. That's you three answer already, Adila. It's company law answer. So if it's tort, what do you think it's tort? 3 elements of negligence. What else? So you guys learned about defamation already? But what do you think it's tort? So why would defamation falls under tort? Yes. Correct, because it's civil wrong and individual against individual. Okay, so now you know it's tort area. So from there, you're able to identify it could be defamation because I looked through everyone's laptop. Seems like you open up Defamation Act. So why is that? So untrue stories, so you think that it's defamation? What's the outcome seek by Dato Azri?
So he used the word take an action.
Yes.
But does anything mention specifically what does he want?
No.
So if it doesn't specify, so you need to list out the possible remedies that he wants to take,
Yes.
right? Because you wouldn't know what action that he wants. That's why he comes to see a lawyer. So what kind of advice would you be giving Dato Azri?
Take down the public
Damages, some more.
injunction.
So you want injunction, some more.
Stop the publication.
Apology, some more. Reputation, revocation. Revocation is easier. Revocation, what else?
Termination of contract.
You want termination of contract.
Legal.
Compensation would be here.
Which can you list the things so far? I can't read.
You can't?
Can you list out? Can you like
You
read it
guys
out?
see?
If you read it that way, they can see. You can read it.
Okay, so far you listed out damages, can be compensation, injunction, basically means revocation of the untrue story, apology, termination of contract, anything else? Yeah, so basically all of this you want justice, right? So what's the fifth one? Yep. So if you bring in public prosecutor, it becomes criminal matters. What does it say? Okay, Ken. So basically it becomes a criminal matter or civil matter. So if you make a police report, it becomes criminal matter. So in this case, you don't know if Dato Azri made a police report, so that one also you can consider. So you put MCMC. But basically, the last one, you usually write an other relief that the court deems fit. So basically means done lain-lain. Anything that you cannot figure out, you put at the bottom. Alright, basically means etc. So you have to put this because just in case the court can comes up with something, the court can grant to the client. Because if you don't put this, court will only award whatever you have listed in the statement of claim. Alright? Okay, so there are other keywords here. So you put business partner, severely affected. Someone also mentioned 2 years. Someone mentioned Kota Kinabalu. So how would this work? How would Kota Kinabalu comes in? How would 2 years be applicable? Okay, this one you have already discovered. Tort. Which act would be applicable? So everyone thinks Defamation Act. So then I put question mark. Would Defamation Act be applicable? So why do you say yes?
Because seeing case law, there's four elements of libel you have to prove to get the case, to beat the case.
Why do you say libel? Is there anything mentioned in the email it's libel? Yeah, but he will ask you why is it libel, why is it not slander? Okay, so you say that it's...
The difference between libel and slander is libel is written, slander is auditory.
So you say it's libel, so it's not slander. So that's why Section 5 would not be applicable. All right, so when you talk about defamation, you need to be specific if it's libel or slander. All right, so you have determined it's libel because it involves publication. Okay, so now do you think that Dato Azri can take an action? Why not? Why can? Okay. Can you prove that? Okay, because he said it's untrue, so basically it's false story. What's the second element? Who's the third party in this situation? Whoever visited the website. So you can prove second element. The third one?
Third one is the plaintiff must prove that the publisher acted at least negligently in publishing. That is at least, but here we can even say intention was there.
Okay.
At least negligent publishing the communication. The moment it's on the web, it's already published.
Okay.
And the fourth element is the plaintiff must prove special damages, which are how it injured him. And here we saw the reputation is being tarnished, so business earning is now reducing. So all four elements is there, so we can bring him on court.
So everyone got the same answer? Which section states all of the four elements?
We used several sections. Section 11 was used reports of judicial proceedings of Defamation Act.
Okay.
Explains the proposition, and also case law. The judges have clearly put it in easy words, like the case of Tanatong and also Dato Muhammad Salim Farah.
Okay. Where's Huyi? Huyi? Oh yes, so what's your answer? What did he answer? What was his answer? Summarize in your own words. So how's his communication skills or presentation? Everyone else thinks Nakiran is right? I heard no. Who says no? Yes. Yep. So would Defamation Act be applicable? So majority says yes. We have to. Correct. So you need to go back to the limitation period. So you specify here 2 years. So if you go to Limitation Act, what does it say? Is it 1 year? Which act are you looking at? Why not Limitation Act, the federal one? Is it Limitation Act 53? What does it say, Limitation Act 1953? Where's Saad? Yes. Yep. Come on, look through Limitation Act. So which section? What does section 6(1)(a) say? Is there a contract? Which section? State civil claims also 6 years. Are you sure 6 years and not 12 years? Christopher. I'm good. How are you? So what does it say about Limitation Act? Christina. 61A, what does it say? Okay, so you think it's 6 years. So it's 12 years. See, section 3 says 12 years. So which one is it? Hold on. Jessica? Is that Jessica? Sorry, Jennifer? Jessica? No? Okay. Suhaila. So what did it say is Limitation Act? Is it 6 years or 12 years? 6 years, which section? So why is it not section 3? Isabek. So which section? Section 3 or section 6? You're still reading. Why do you confidently say 6 years? So section 3 says upon any judgment. Alright, so that's why section 3 is not applicable because there's no judgment yet. So the answer you think would be 6 years. What does it say in section 1 of Limitation Act? Correct. So if you look through Limitation Act, section 1 states it only applies in Peninsular Malaysia. So where does Dr. Azri resides? Sabah. So does it mean Limitation Act be applicable in Sabah? What's your answer then?
If his business is situated in Sabah itself,
Yep.
we use limitation ordinance Sabah,
Okay.
which makes anything which I said before can't working because based on the schedule part 1, for libel it's only 1 year.
So which means now you're changing your answer from yes and action to no?
The discretion is if he's from Sabah, that doesn't mean his business is at Sabah. I'm from JB, my business could be at KL.
Is it his business in KL or in Sabah?
He didn't say in the email. He's from KK, I'm from JB. Doesn't mean all my
So where is it? Can you go back to the email? So is the business in KL or the business in KK? Business situated in KK, right? So which means Limitation Act 1953 would not be applicable. So what is the act that will be applicable in Sabah? What's the full name of the act? Limitation Ordinance? What's your answer? Which act will be applicable in Sabah? No, you cannot think. It's not in your brain. It cannot be Limitation Act because Section 1 specifies that it's only applicable in Peninsular Malaysia. So it cannot be Section 1, it cannot be Limitation Act. Is it? How sure are you? Where's Pavani? Pahlavi. So what's your answer? If you cannot apply Limitation Act, so which act will be applicable? Sabah Limitation Ordinance. So what does it say in Limitation Ordinance, Sabah? Cap 72. So why is it affirmative 1 year? Where is it located in the ordinance? It's 1 year. Amir. Yes, so what's your answer? It cannot be anti-fake news act. Because we have already mentioned that it's libel. But at the moment, the act has been abolished. It's still in the process of being abolished. But if you want to go to Anti-Fake News Act, so you need to look through Section 1. What does it say? And then you need to establish Section 1. And then you go back to Limitation Act. So which one is it? Limitation Act or Sabah Limitation Ordinance? If retrospective law, it can be retrospective, so you need to determine whether Anti-Fake News Act applies to situation where it has happened 2 years ago before the enactment of the act. Does it say anything in the... So how sure are you it will be applicable? You learn this in constitutional law. How sure it is applicable? There are 5, right? Then you need to go to constitutional law. Because they want to argue Anti-Fake News Act will be applicable, not Defamation Act. You can, but we want to determine whether or not you can take an action under Anti-Fake News Act, which was established in 2017, but this case happened in 2016. But this thing happened in 2016, so whether or not it will be applicable. Which judgment says can? Okay. 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 So can you use a bill to take an action against a person? Because you mentioned the bill on 11th of April 2018. So can you take an action against a person using a bill? What's the difference between a bill and an act?
Act is already it's passed the House of Commons. House of Rights got the royal assent itself.
Yep, the bill?
A bill is a preliminary in a process paper. It's just a suggestion, a proposal from.
So that's why in your answer, in an exam or assignment, you need to make sure you use the correct term. So it has to be an act. So it can't be bill. Okay? But we put aside Anti-Fake News Act first. We just focus on the Limitation Ordinance. Whether or not Limitation Ordinance is the correct one. Which section says yes? Why do you say Schedule Part 1, Item 11? Compensation for libel?
It says for compensation while libel it has been 1 year. So it says for any sue against libel and things, it has to be done from 1 year. The libel is published. So the moment it's published from 1 year, you have time to put an action under the Sabah ordinance.
Okay. But anything after 2 years? Come on, we still got time. Benjamin. Where's Benjamin? Yes. So what's the effect if you want to take an action against a person 2 years later after the publication of the untrue stories? All right, because you've highlighted 2 years here. Yep. But it happens 2 years ago. Yep. 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 Correct. So that's exactly what's happening to Dato Azri. He knew it happened 2 years ago, but he didn't feel the impact until 2 years later. So now that's why he's approaching a lawyer to take an action against Rika. So the issue is, now the question goes back to you. Can or cannot? You say can? Why do you say can? Because? So you say it's the consequential damages of the publication of untrue stories. What? It's okay. So how do you support your argument? Which act? Azmi, right? Azri. Adam? Okay, Azmi. So how do you support his argument? Because he said yes, can take an action. So you're 100% sure? It's okay. I'm having fun now. Brandon. After Brandon, Nishant. What's your answer? So what does it say in limitation ordinance? If you can take an action against defamation? So everyone be prepared with your answer. Yep, Nishant, what's your answer? It's there. What does it say in limitation ordinance? If you can take an action for defamation. It's so funny. Yep, that's my question. So based on limitation ordinance, you can take an action. Are you 100% sure? So now your confidence level dropped. We know now. We do not hear, right? So what's your answer? Cannot? Why cannot? Where does it say? After 1 year. So after 1 year cannot, where does it say? Which part of the limitation ordinance? Schedule? Is it section 3? What does it say under section 6, subsection 1? Section 6, sub 1 says cannot bring an action. Rishma. Where's Rishima? Yes. What does it say under section 6, sub 1? So section 6, sub 1 says it must be within 1 year. We do not mention two sections. One section 3, one section 6. 6 sub 1. So what does it say? Section 3 and 6. Any other answers?
Section 5, that's more relevant. So Section 5 it clearly says that even though if any new acts or any other circumstances, you can never alter the period so prescribed.
Meaning?
Meaning, even though, rather than taking Section 3 and Section 6, Section 5 itself says already, you have to follow the prescribed time set by the ordinance.
Can you read section 3?
Section 3 says, subject to Section 4 to 24,
Yep.
every suit instituted after the period of limitation prescribed, therefore by the schedule shall be dismissed.
So why can't you just rely on the section 3? Because it talks about everything.
Yeah, but provided that limitation has been set up as a defense.
Okay, so can this case applies limitation? Would the limitation ordinance be applicable? Okay, so what's your answer then?
My answer is actually the same thing. If it's not in Sabah, it's fine.
But is it in Sabah or is it in KL?
This is as is in Sabah because we are assuming using the word jeweler in Sabah.
Yep.
But there's a lot of issues we can ask about. Is the business you're talking about, is the jewelry business, is this some other business in KL? There's a lot of confusion that part. But if just taking that image into context,
Yep.
it's a jeweler in Sabah, so we just assume that it's a jewelry business in Sabah.
Yep.
So we say you cannot take an action because the schedule says within 1 year you have to take it. It's already 2 years now.
Anyone else? Different answer. Confirm, Christopher? He can bring the suit? Is it because it falls under Schedule of Limitation Act? So what is the effect of Schedule of Limitation Act? So if any action you instituted after 1 year period concerning libel, it shall be dismissed. So basically that should be your answer. So in this case, what's your conclusion? So, why is there if? Isn't the email quite clear? It's in Kota Kinabalu? You have to read the email again.
Because it clearly says that affected his business as a jeweler in Sabah. Hypothetically, I'm just using two different views. With the jewelry business, as I said before, it's fine. You cannot move on.
Okay, anyone else thinks that his business in KL? Or any other place apart from Sabah? Anyone else? Okay, I'm going to call one last name. Who's the lucky one? Anyone wants to volunteer? Who? Jian Hui. What's your conclusion? On how would you want to apply equity? In Malaysia, is there a separate court of equity and court of common law? So it's combined. So if the act says you cannot take an action, so you still want to take an action? It's a matter of principle. You think it's fair, but in actual fact, reality, can you take an action? So your initial answer when you first read the question, is it different from your current answer now? All right, so in real life, this is how it works. So when you read the question at first glance, you straight away think that possibly can But you need to remember, you need to make use of all of the keywords in the email or in the problem question itself. All right, so this one, everything is correct, but the important one would be this one. You wouldn't think that 2 years is actually important, but in actual fact, it is. Because in Sabah, they have different act as compared to Peninsula. All right, so what happens in real life? So when the email was sent to the intern Google the answer, Defamation Act, cow team, go back home, sleep. All right, so the next morning when he came into the office, he saw the partner is actually in the library working by himself. So you already know that the partner was unhappy with his research. Because you're supposed to be assisting the partner in doing research, but ended up the partner itself came to the office 6 in the morning to conduct this entire thing in order to advise client at 10 o'clock. Okay, so you need to make sure when you do your legal research, you need to go as detailed as possible. Look for other acts that may be applicable. So if you think it's MCMC, you look through all the applicable section MCMC. If you think it's Anti-Fake News Act, you also look into Anti-Fake News Act. But you need to bear in mind, this thing happens 2 years ago, whether or not these 2 acts or more acts will be applicable. All right, so that's for today's activity actually. I just want to test how you think, how you do legal research, and how you answer question I pose in class. Yep. What's that? Okay.
But where the part is where the damage comes in. 1 year period from when the damage starts, for example.
So which means in this case, because the damages occurred 2 years later, after the limitation period. Which act you mentioned just now? Any cases that's a federal court decision? So what's the name of the case? Okay, so if it happens in Malaysia, you already know because of limitation ordinance, you can't institute any action. Section 3 says that it shall be dismissed. But if you want to use the UK judgment, you can use the UK judgment as a persuasive argument to support your argument. So which means you choose the federal court decision because it has higher authority. And then you bring it to court, try to persuade the court. If the court is satisfied, the court can exercise discretion to allow the action.
But isn't it like the premise? I think so. Better protection. I can't remember check it out. We cannot use the English law provision unless there's a gap between our acts and laws.
There is actually in the limitation ordinance itself where you can actually institute proceeding based on exceptional circumstances. So even though it has instituted after 1 year period, you can take an action, but because of the general term, the term used in certain situation, you can bring an argument. So it's entirely up to the lawyer to argue. So that's where you do your job.
But isn't it contradicting the Section 5?
What does Section 5 say?
Section 5 says like if banned by any special law now or here after enforced in Sabah, a period of limitation is especially prescribed for any suit. Nothing correct content shall affect or alter the period so prescribed. So nothing should change the limitation period.
How sure are you? Because you can argue that you say no cannot, so you probably be on the defense side. But if claimant wants to bring an action, claimant can still rely under other sections. So you still can bring matter to court, but it's up to the judge to decide whether or not to go for the plaintiff or to go to the defendant. So that's where your arguments all comes in. You put plaintiff claiming this, but defendant is counter-argue this. Plaintiff claiming this, counter-argue this. So the more sections you provide, that's where you get more marks. Because sometimes you notice some students get 88 out of 100, then you realize why you get 75, why not 85. So all of this we look into account. Okay, any other question? Yep. Okay. if he doesn't delete the post even after 2 years, it is a continuous wrong because it continuously affecting the business. Yep. So how do you determine when is the fresh institute? You can argue under part. So you can argue under part 323. That's where plaintiff will put argument, but the defendant will put argument saying that that one was post 2 years ago, only one post. Continuous doesn't mean basically it's the same post. It should be a different post. So then that's where you put your plaintiff counter argument saying that similar posts that last for 2 years constitute or amounts to continuous damages. Can also. Any other question? Ready to leave class, is it? Okay, that's all for today. So I'll see you next week. Tomorrow.